Hello. Welcome to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melon Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And this is season 14. It's episode 14. It's called Hemlines and Headlines. And this was a cute little episode. It wasn't okay. Can we be honest? I think I said this last week. I'm not completely impressed by what Beverly Hills has given me this season. I'm not going to hold you. Because not much happened this episode. Like, really, nothing really happened. And I guess I'm waiting for things to pick up, if you will. And I feel like we're not getting that so far. And yes, Whisper is doing what she does best, being up in the videos. This cat, I tell you. But yeah, not much happened this episode, so I doubt this review is going to be very long. And yes, I'm on camera today, mainly because, I'm caught up, okay? I'll just be honest. I am slightly caught up on the things I need to be caught up with, but I'm in this awkward waiting period. For those who know, you know. Things are getting settled, so it's exciting times right now. But anyway, that's not why we're here. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. So basically, we continue where we left off, where we're talking about the rumors of, and not really rumor, but like Mauricio getting caught by the paparazzi kissing some random woman in Greece, at the Greek airport. And so we're kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. So first, before we do that, we have our normal Real Housewives montage where I think Dorit is playing basketball with her son. Then we see Garcelle is celebrating with the, I think it's her manager. And her son Jade finally gets like... basically, I don't know what it's called, but it basically makes it official. He is officially a model now. It's on paper. It's a whole entire thing, which that is relatable for what happens later on this episode. More of Erica. Erica talking to her mom about the redecorating of it all, because that also ties into the episode. So we kind of got a little bit of an idea of things that are tying into this episode. So then the first scene is we have Kyle with her sister Kathy, and they are talking about the aftermath of this in the car, and they're actually on their way to a mammogram. And I guess I forgot about this, that her mom passed away from breast cancer. Their mom, I completely forgot about that because I don't really remember people's lives day to day like that, but. So they are talking about how they a lot of times will go to get the mammogram together just as a support, because for those who've ever had to get a mammogram, which as a woman, if you're especially after a certain age, you need to start doing that as preventative. And also too, if you have history of that, you should be doing that as well. And I've had to start doing it, and it's not fun. It is not fun. It's doctor appointments are just never a good time, so it's nice. It's something that they can do together. And so on the way there, though, they're talking about the aftermath of it, and Kyle is just kind of venting to her sister about it, and her sister is being supportive. Kathy is making some jokes here and there, but I think Kathy now is towing the line where she's not making the dig jokes that she was making before, because a lot of her jokes before was kind of a dig towards Mo, because we know Kathy don't see it for Mo. Kathy and Rick do not see it for each other because of everything that happened with the agency. So Kathy's kind of not being as, dramatic when it comes to her reads, when it comes to, if you want to call them reads, when it comes to like Mo. She's still making fun of him here and there, but it's not enough for her to offend Kyle, put it that way. And Kyle's just stating like, yeah, both of them are just suspecting someone leaked this. As far as like someone basically made it where the paparazzi would get involved. So I guess I was concerned that Kyle was going to be upset with what Sutton said towards the end of last week about how it's not a thing for like people to like just be motion. This should not got caught out there like that the way it did. Because it's not really a thing that people are just shopping at this airport unless they like are basically requests for the paparazzi. Kyle's in agreement to that. She doesn't think Mo did though. She just doesn't know what's going on with this woman. So, or someone who was there. So she kind of is like, yeah, it's suspect. And they kind of talk about that a little bit. And conclusion with this is Kyle removed the wife title from like her IG bio. And is now thinking she should move on. Something we should. I'm surprised that she's surprised. Like, it's one of them. So not much happened with that. Anyway, moving on. So, side note, they get the checkout. Everything's all good. Like, I kind of figured if they were going to be doing that, everything was fine. So then from there, we go to... and by the way, this is not in order because I kind of just watched the episode the one time and I'm not sure I don't think I want to watch it again because again, not much happened here. The next scene though is Erica's mom does, because Erica's mom is visiting her. Erica's mom is there at her place. And we finally get to see the finished product of her new place being redecorated by Martin Lawrence. And we also find out in the after show, I didn't know Martin Lawrence was on another show that Bravo had or NBC Universal had that was kind of like an interior decorating show like 10 or 15 years ago. And that's how he first came to be. He looked slightly different. So because it was him being younger and also pre-fillers. So like, I guess it's still definitely him, but I mean, yeah, I didn't know. So we find that out in the after show a little bit, but when it comes to the new decorating of it all, I'm inspired. You would thought this would be boring. And to me, the only reason why this Erica storyline is boring is because it got stretched out multiple episodes. If this was like a one and done episode, I would be fully invested because I'm very much into interior design, interior decorating, and things of that nature. So I will be all in on this. But because it's being stretched by multiple episodes and we finally see the finished product, I'm happy about the finished product part of it, but the other things I didn't need to see. But what I will say, though, as I mentioned before, it was very inspiring, and her mom loved it. Her mom was just like, oh my gosh, this looks just like you, and all this other stuff. And I think this is a genuine storyline for like Erica. So even though she doesn't really have much going on, I mean, this is really the first year that Erica ain't got much going on, for real. Which to a certain degree, that is good for her because her much going on was, it was stressful and damning. I mean, it wasn't a good thing. So for her to not have much going on, this is a good thing. I love it for Erica. And it seems like she's finding herself and she's getting herself back. And I do believe her when she says that she is very much finally coming to terms with being independent and being happy with that. And to the point where she's like, she doesn't see herself getting married again. She likes that she has this independence. She likes that her money is now just her money. Because really behind the scenes, Erica's alluded to it and we've seen it on the show here and there, but we don't really know how much that man, Tom, was controlling her. I imagine for how powerful he was and the fraudulent, horrible things he was doing to the people, it probably was kind of hell for her to live with him. Whether she knew about things or not, two things can be true. You could know a little bit, but like if the power dynamic ain't what the power dynamic should be, what is it she's going to do about that? And I think that's the part that like we just never really gave her grace for. But also, too, in the same sentence, we wouldn't give her grace for that just because she was so rude about it. Like, she kind of was like, what about me? What about me? And it's like, well, what about the burn victims? It was one of those things. So anyway, though, but back to, I feel bad every time I speak about Erica and Deb. I bring that all up again, but that just tells you that she doesn't really have much going on this season. And her mom is there. She's happy with what she has. And I do still have questions of why she's decorating a home she doesn't own. Like heavily decorating the way she did just now, a home she doesn't own. Unless maybe she does own it now. We don't know about it. I just have questions about that. Maybe we'll find out during the reunion what that all is about. Because I guess for me, I'm just not putting a bunch of money into things that I don't like, is not mine. Unless maybe she knows the owners. Who knows? But anyway, that is that on that. So next we find out that the main storyline for this episode is Sutton and her fashion show. It is happening. And one of the things that we do find out, and this is kind of just, I'm kind of skipping through again, Sutton's mom did try to come, and she couldn't come because there was a lot of things going on where her flights got canceled and things like that. Because I think around this time is when there was major storms going on around that area, and I think maybe Augusta was impacted by that. So her mom trying to get to the show, she never was able to get to the show. And but the effort was there. The effort was there. And Sutton was happy with the effort. But while she's scrambling this whole entire episode trying to get this all together, she does talk to Garcelle. And she talks a little bit about what she's been doing. But then she also talks a little bit about, because we find out that Sutton's son, the newly official model, is going to be modeling in the show. He's going to be walking the runway. And so it's going to be his debut. And so we find that out, and that's exciting for Garcelle. But then also, too, then they do talk about the mess a little bit when it talks to, well, before they get into that, then they, Sutton's like, should I invite Dorit? Shouldn't I invite Dorit? And because Sutton's like, me and Dorit were never going to be friends, but I want to be cordial at least. So she does invite Dorit. And then after that, they're like, okay, we got all that out of the way. Now let's talk about the mess. AKA what's going on with Kyle and Mo. And Sutton, you know what? I'll be honest. I love me some Sutton for this show. But in real life, Sutton would drive me nuts. I actually would probably be more on the side of like an Erica or someone else. Like she would drive me nuts. She actually would. Because the way she just be in people's business, that's team too much. I would be so annoyed if someone was table talking that much mess about me behind my back. Which I know as humans we do, but like on a reality show, you actually get to see that that's what's happening. But I'm like, man, for Kyle being her friend, she's talking so much about, she's so invested in what's going on with Kyle and like the relationship of it all. But at the end of the day, Sutton's always invested in other people's business. She is nosy. She be in the people's businesses. But long story less long, I feel like everyone for the most part is on the same page of this was maybe the wake-up call that Kyle needed to like take this separation seriously and try to move on. And that's kind of what I took away from it, too. Like now, you got knocked to your senses, Kyle. Maybe now you will actually take this seriously and not realize and stop in this weird purgatory that you put yourself in. Because she literally put herself in this limbo of like can't move on, but like of being stuck. Like if anything, I will hope that this will let you know you don't have to be stuck. You're making yourself stuck. Make a decision. You started off the decision with this was your idea for the separation. Now see it through. I guess that's just how I am. If I'm going to make a decision like that, I mean it the first time. Am seeing it through. There's no doubling back on it. But maybe she's a type where she just wasn't sure. Who knows? But anyway, that's kind of all that happens here with Garcelle and Sutton. So Side note, this video actually might look different than how it normally looks because I don't have my warm light. Like, you know how a lot of times when I do this, I have like a different filter on. I didn't do that today because I don't know. I'm trying to adjust the lighting. The lighting ain't what it normally is, so I apologize ahead of time because normally I look a little bit more warmer. But if I do that, I look really dark in this video, and I just, yeah. Anyway, the lighting, I can't get it together today. But, okay, next. We have, Garcelle actually meets Dorit for lunch. Yeah, you heard me. Garcelle and Dorit go out to lunch together. And it's pleasant. They're actually having some pleasantries. Now, from Garcelle's perspective, which you and me are here, she's keeping it cute. They're not talking about anything deep with what's going on with Garcelle's life because trust still needs to be built, which I understand. And Dorit is sharing a little bit of what's going on with her, but not too much also. They both are just kind of like, the first step is us having lunch together. It's not contentious. And so they're doing that. Now, it does become contentious a little bit because Dorit does bring up the fashion show and that Sutton invited her, which she's happy about. But Dorit feels like Sutton can do no wrong in Garcelle's eyes. And then Garcelle's like, well, name some examples. And so she names what happened at the dinner, the caviar dinner. She's like, no, Sutton was wrong for that. And I think what Dorit is kind of annoyed by is like, well, you didn't really say that at the moment. And I think no one really said that at the moment overall. Everyone was just kind of shocked because Sutton was doing a whole entire lot, you know, but then also, too, I think Dorit also mentioned something about the 4th of July thing. And she's like, well, you act like I'm being such a bitch towards her. And she's like, well, a lot of times you are being a bitch towards her. And, you know, I think, now, do I think this is ever going to lead to Dorit and like Sutton ever getting along? No. They just don't like each other. And that's okay. And I think at least now with Dorit, she can at least clear it up that Sutton not liking you has nothing to do with Garcelle. Sutton doesn't like you, and for a certain time, Garcelle didn't like you, and there were two separate reasons. They were not related. Yes, they happen to be best friends, but them as grown women had their own opinions about you, and that's all it was. So, and I think this helped clear it up for Dorit. So I think that was the other reason why they kind of did the lunch together. But overall, it was a very cute lunch. They did talk a little bit about the Kyle of it all. And it was shocking to me because in the past, we know that, you know, Dorit used to be so Kyle. This time around, they're both just talking about, like, I think Kyle needs to understand, like, you can't be mad at Mo doing things how he's doing because you also were doing the same thing with, you know, Morgan before. Both of them are saying it. Now, I hope later on Dorit doesn't try to do this thing where Garcelle brought it up, but then she just agreed, and so she's acting like she didn't do anything. Because that is one thing that Dorit will do. Dorit will do that. Where she will just straight up pretend she had no involvement in the conversation. You start the conversation, but because the only thing she's saying is yeah, she pretends she had no part in it and she wasn't part of perpetuating the same thing. Because in this case, I know that she did add a little 1-2 to it. So I just hope later on it's not a problem. And I think towards the end of this scene, even Garcelle was like, I do like that we got along and we talked, but I still got my good eye on her, as you should. But that's kind of all that happened here. Anyway, moving on. So it's the rehearsal time for, and this is probably going to be the last part of this video here. This was with Sutton and the fashion show. So the rehearsal time is happening, and the models are doing a walkthrough. Avi's there helping along, and we find out that Jennifer Tilly's also walking in the show as well. And sudden, when it came to this whole fashion show and how well it was put together, because it was put together really, really well, and she kind of did that. And honestly, Sutton's never done a fashion show before. This is her first time doing it. And she kind of did. She did it all. She did it. She really did a great, great job. What I will say when it comes to Sutton and how this came together, it definitely came together as if a Virgo had their hand on it. It was so clean together, and to the point where even in the after show, when Kathy was talking about it, Kathy was impressed by it. Like, she was like, I thought with it being her first fashion show, it was going to be kind of whatever thing and more casual. I didn't realize how she was going to have, like, it was going to be together. And it was together. And the reason why I mentioned the after show, because Kathy, you ain't ish. What happened in this episode? I'm like, this is not the first or last time Kathy has done what she did in this episode. She's done that before. She had someone else do it before. If you know, you know. Anyway, so let's fast forward. They're at the show. All the ladies are there looking their best, looking amazing. Garcelle's excited. She's gleaning, just ready for her son to make his fashion debut on the runway. And the clothes, the clothes were, I mean, it was, it's not my style. There we go. Not quite my style. It's a little too basic for me. I get what type of clothes Sutton has, is containable fashion. So that is, her market is a market, but it's just not my style of what I would wear, personally. But anyway, so the ladies are kind of all bonding and talking, getting ready for the show. Sutton is a nervous wreck literally the whole entire time. And then, basically, fast forward, Kathy shows up, and Kathy is a mess because apparently she fell. I don't remember if she fell before she got there or while she was there, but something happened where she fell. So her knee's kind of banged up, and so she's kind of walking with this limp. And so as they're sitting and waiting for the show to start, Kathy was talking to either Erica or I don't know who she was talking to. She was Kyle. Either Kyle or I don't know who she was talking to. I forgot who she was talking to. But she mentioned, like, I think, since Dorit is very known for fashion, she's kind of the fashion girly of this, of us. She should be the one who's the MC of this show. And so Kathy's like, let me go ahead and talk to Sutton about that. So she proceeds to walk like onto the runway into the back part of it as they're trying to get people started and get the models going. And the ladies, especially Kyle looks mortified. She's like, oh my God, sit down, Kathy, sit down. So Kathy does go up to Sutton. She's talking, and she was like, hey, and she mentions this idea, and then Sutton's like, no, I think we're good. We're not going to have any MCs or anything. This is like a real fashion show. We're not going to do all that. And she's like, oh, okay. I've been to fashion shows before. She's like, no, we're not going to do that. She's like, okay. And we find out in the after show, this was a Kathy joke. She was doing a practical joke when it came to like the asking about the Dorit thing. She was not being serious. She was she was joking. But her not finding her seat on time, that was her being Kathy. That was Kathy being Kathy. But like, I find, to me, okay, this is my opinion. I think it was both continuation, the practical joke, but also her not being aware that things were going to start on time. Because she does stay in the after show. I wasn't aware that the timeliness was going to be timeliness. Like, and it's like, but Kathy, Sons of Virgo, it's going to be on time. If this is a Virgo's work or projects, understand, overstand that the things are going to be on time. And if it's starting on time, is late. That is how Virgos get things done. Shout out to all my Virgo friends. That's just what it is. Okay? I was surprised that she was surprised it was going to be on time. Like, it's like, hello, let's be so for real. But anyway, so she's trying to walk back to her seat, but she's limping, right? But then she sees Erica's mom, and she tries to go and talk to Erica's mom. But this is when the fashion show is literally starting. And so Sun already has a model coming out, and the ladies have to like move her so that the model can get moving on the runway. And Kathy's like, oh. She gets seated down, and Kyle's reaction was priceless because they're all like, because everyone was like, get your sister. She's like, she's just my sister. She's not my daughter. I can't just get her. Because like her getting her would be two of them on the runway versus just the one, because literally the seats are here, the runway. If you get up, you're on the runway. If you're seated, you're not on the runway. That's what it is. Okay. And so basically no one could get up to get her because they themselves would be on the runway getting up to get her. And then in the after show, also, Erica was like, I was so annoyed finding out my mom was the reason why Kathy was still standing up. Like, and that cracked me up. That Erica was nice enough to like chart it off to like Kathy being Kathy, but like not the fact that, but like can't give her mom the same grace. And like Kathy was just like, I just wanted to say hi to Erica's mom because I didn't get a chance to say hi to Erica's mom. And I just wanted to say hi to her because this is my first time ever meeting her. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk to her real quick. Not realizing that things were going to start on time. It was cute but funny. But basically, overall, besides that, it was a cute fashion show. Jaden did his thing. And then Jennifer Tilly looked amazing. It looked cute. And the ladies all rally around her at the very end once things are done. They're like, go Sutton, you did a good job. You did that. You did a great job. Even Dorit tries to say something to Sun, but Sun paid her dust. And honestly, as she should. And then at the very end, she does a picture. They do a group picture, but I don't know if y'all picked that up, but did you notice that Dorit was kind of like this and everyone else was all in a group together? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's what I saw. But anyway, overall, it was a very, very cute episode. No fighting, no real issues. Dorit I felt like at the very leading up to the show, she was expecting some type of apology at the event. And it's like, girl, be so for real. This is not about you. And this is where the Dorit, for those who like Dorit like that, and I did like Dorit for the first couple episodes of this season, plus because she was going after Kyle, and Kyle was so unbearable that it made it where we liked her. But now that dust is settled and we've turned a corner on that, we're back to seeing Dorit for who she is. And it's just, she's kind of annoying. And self-centered. Very self-centered. But I was actually, the takeaway of this episode was, I was also kind of genuinely surprised, but also not really, that Garcelle was willing to say, no, Sun was wrong for what she did at the dinner. She did too much. And I think Dorit doesn't realize that Sun's friends, unlike your friendship and what you have with Kyle, like Sun, Jennifer Tilly, and Garcelle, they don't appear to be yes women. They are able to hold themselves accountable to amongst each other. Whereas with your friendship that you have with Kyle, you couldn't do that with Kyle. But anyway, so that to me conclude the review. What do you think about the episode? Again, I thought it was okay. It was, to me, it was more of a filler episode. I do see previews for next episode. Looks like they're going to like St. Lucia. So I'm excited to see that. But other than that, that does conclude the review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. And Whisper says hi and bye.